right, friends, well, welcome back to Park Junkie. Todd C. coming to you today from here in Yellowstone. I'm over in the Madison Junction section of the park in western Yellowstone. This little meadow behind me right back here, this is the confluence of the Firehole and the Gibbon rivers. Those rivers meet here and form the Madison River, which flows westward from the park out toward West Yellowstone. Now this mountain behind me, that's National Park Mountain in the meadow right here. This is sort of sacred in National Park lore because this is where the members of the 1870 Washburn-Langford-Doane expedition camped on their final night in what would soon become Yellowstone National Park. The members gathered around a campfire here and discussed the wonders they'd seen in the high country, and this is where the idea first took hold for protecting a public place for the benefit and enjoyment of the people. Now you may be wondering why we have the teepees back here. Well, they're set up for next week's Yellowstone Revealed program. What's that? We'll get into it in the National Park News Roundup, which is coming at you right about now. All right, friends, well, as you probably know, it's the 150th anniversary of Yellowstone National Park, and in celebration of that, next week's Yellowstone Revealed event unfolds right here at Madison Junction. Next week, the teepees behind me will host a gathering of tribes. The 27 indigenous tribes who have ancestral roots here in the Yellowstone ecosystem will be gathered here. Representatives from the tribes will be here from 9 o'clock to 3 p.m. daily during the week of the 23rd through the 27th. The public is invited to stop by and discuss Yellowstone history with tribal members. There are a number of events slated for next week. Demonstrations, storytelling events, and some interpretive hikes are on the docket. Now, a lot of these events, such as the interpretive hikes, required advance reservations, and they are all full. However, there may be cancellations, so I'll provide a link to the schedule of events and to the waiting list down in the description below. Nightly artistic performances will be on tap here at the TP Village in Madison Junction. The 23rd and 24th, there will be an evening art demonstration out here with moving buffalo sculptures, drummers, and dancers. Now, I also know that on August 25th at the Old Faithful Lodge Recreation Hall, there will be a meeting of the Bannock and Shoshone tribes. Festivities there begin at 10 a.m. and run through 3 p.m. and numerous speakers are on tap, including the Park Superintendent, Cam Shawley. Public is invited to attend all of these. They are free events, but as I said, some reservations were required for the interpretive hikes and perhaps for some of the demonstrations as well. All right, in other news coming out of Yellowstone, the West Thumb Geyser Basin making national news this week with an unfortunate incident. And a park employee discovered a shoe there in the abyss pool Tuesday morning. And upon investigation of this incident, it was found that the shoe had parts of a human foot remaining in it. Now, the Park Service has reported that they do not suspect foul play in this incident. It appears that this may be related to an incident that was reported on July 31st. I think we had a missing report of a person, and that is what this is all about. It seems that very likely someone got too close to the pool and perished as a result of this. These pools in Yellowstone, we must understand, this is not the hot tub in your backyard. These are not your local hot springs. These are deadly pools. There's nothing relaxing about enjoying time in a pool in Yellowstone. These pools are extremely hot. Temperatures at the abyss pool in the 140-degree range. There are many other pools in the park which range up to 200 degrees, so you won't enjoy any time spent in a Yellowstone hot spring. There's no doubt about that. So stay on the boardwalks, keep it real. Don't be an idiot in Yellowstone. Don't be one of those people, right? In a morbidly related story coming from down at Lake Mead National Recreation Area outside of Las Vegas there in Nevada, on the Nevada-Arizona border, park officials report that there were skeletal remains found in the vicinity of Swim Beach there earlier this week. This event, while under investigation, it could probably be assumed that there may have been foul play involved in this one. We've all seen Casino. We know Joe Pesci roams around down there. This one probably quite a bit different than what we have here in Yellowstone, but an unfortunate story nevertheless coming out of Lake Mead there. All right, and the third story coming out of Yellowstone here today, the Park Service released their visitation statistics for July of 2022, and no surprise there, Park Junkie's been telling you the whole time, visitation numbers are down. The park welcomed just under 600,000 guests during July of 2022, and comparing that to 2021, it is a massive decrease, 45% down, as nearly 1.1 million people came through the gates in July of 2021. If we take this back to pre-COVID days, in July of 2019, the park welcomed welcomed 936,000 people, so almost a million people then. Numbers are down this year. The park year-to-date number is 1.8 million, so we are well short of what Park Service officials had estimated would be coming in for the 150th anniversary. This is all directly linked to the floods in June. I think a lot of people canceled their reservations here due to that flooding and concerns that the park would not reopen in time. And as we've covered here on Park Junkie, I think the Park Service did a pretty good job of getting the park back open. The road crews busted it out. And as we've said here before, just last week's episode, we reported that the Park Service estimates that those northern entrances, the north and northeast entrance to Yellowstone, will be open by mid-October. And if you haven't been to Yellowstone yet, it is a fabulous time to visit the world's first national park. All right, another news coming out of the Southwest Death Valley, still reeling from the monsoons they've been hit with down there. As we reported last week, the park experienced a massive monsoon with 1.46 inches of rain falling within a 3-hour period there. The park average yearly rainfall is just under 2 inches, so they received about 70% of their rainfall in a 3-hour period, and you can understand that that would wreak havoc on the roadways there in the park. Death Valley, the hottest, the lowest, the driest, and the largest of our lower 48 parks. 3.4 million acres with over 1,400 miles of roadway in the park. Now, a lot of those are rugged, old mining roads that go out into the hinterlands of Death Valley National Park. And while those roads are really cool to explore, you'll definitely want to have a four-wheel drive high clearance with some solid tires on that vehicle to go out into these areas, or an adventure bike. It's another great way to tour that park. All the backcountry roads are currently closed. You have to wait for the winter for that. But the park has reopened Highway 190, which runs through the park over to Furnace Creek there. They had some conflicting reports coming out about which roads were open. I know they had reopened some roads. They were scheduled to open today on the 20th. However, it appears that they received some more rainfall in the last 24 to 48 hours, and that rainfall has once again brought debris onto some of the roadways there. I know the Badwater area is in question, Artist Drive's in question. So if you're planning on heading into Death Valley National Park, go ahead and check out the park website, perhaps contact the park to find out what roads will be available and which sites you'll be able to enjoy while you visit Death Valley. Other areas down there in Southern California, Joshua Tree receiving substantial rainfall over the past few weeks, and this has indeed affected their roadways. The Pinto Basin Road running up from the south entrance there, just north of I-10, to the Ocotillo Garden was closed there momentarily. Once again, they have that reopened, but the Geology Tour Road will remain closed until they can clear that area out, as well as some roads up around the Bighorn Pass complex going up into the Queen Mountain area there north of the main drive through the park. Jumbo Rocks, Hidden Valley, you can still access all of those areas. So if you're going to be driving out in Joshua Tree National Park, officials there in the park advise driving with caution, as a lot of wildlife will reemerge onto the roadways after rain, including the desert tortoise, which likes to come out in search of water after these big rains. You certainly don't want to hit a desert tortoise or any other park wildlife with your vehicle, so just take it easy when you're driving out there in the park. Other news coming out of Zion National Park, flooding there as well. The Kayenta Trail and the Emerald Pools Trail were temporarily closed due to flash flooding there in the park. The park receiving a significant amount of rainfall just a couple of days ago, but it appears that the park is still open. None of the roadways were damaged, and if you're going to be coming into the park there in Zion, you should probably go ahead and check the Park Service website for a detailed list of what trails may be closed. In other park news, Michigan's National Park, Isle Royale up there in the waters of Lake Superior, experiencing a fire currently. Unfortunately, this is a human-caused fire. Someone set a fire at a camp north of the 3-mile camp on the Mount Franklin Trail going up to Mount Franklin. Now that fire got out of control, grew to about 11 acres. Park Service fire crews have battled that and got it down to about 6 acres. However, the fire is not considered contained at this time. It is a bonus that the wind conditions are favorable for fighting fire there. It's not too windy right now, and the high humidity of the island at this time seems to be working to suppress the fire as well. Isle Royale, a super cool park. I've been there a couple of times. It is the least visited park in the lower 48, and if you can get out there, I certainly suggest it. I've hiked across the island from Wendigo to Rock Harbor twice, once on the Greenstone Ridge Trail and the other time on the Menong Ridge, and both of those trails were fabulous, and I had an excellent experience in Isle Royale, so I can certainly hope that they can get the fire under control and get that place back to where it should be. In other news from our national park, Great Sand Dunes down in Colorado is hosting a dark sky celebration on Saturday, August 27th. So a week from now, you'll be able to go down there and experience a wonderful evening celebration there in Great Sand Dunes. afternoons at the amphitheater. The event kicks off at 6:30 with a bird of prey presentation, and about 8:30, about the time the sun goes down, the purpose of this event is to stress the importance of dark skies out here in our parks and in our public areas overall. They will have telescopes put out in the parking lot there, and some of these dark sky events are really cool. I've attended them in Great Basin National Park as well as Bryce Canyon National Park, and visitors are welcome to come into these events, gaze through telescopes at distant constellations and planets, and you'll have some rangers on hand to guide you through that and explain what you're looking at. So these dark sky presentations are always pretty cool, and if you're in and around Great Sand Dunes during that time, I recommend stopping in and checking it out. Next story coming out of Great Smoky Mountains National Park over there in North Carolina and Tennessee. This is our busiest national park. That park welcomes over 13 million people annually. At least last year the number was above 13 million. I think it's been in the above 10 million for years. It's by far our busiest national park. However, laws there in the Tennessee and North Carolina area prevent the park from charging an entrance fee. So park officials have been battling some way to come up with some sort of funding for the park, and they've arrived at the Park It Forward plan. Public was asked to comment on this plan, and overall the responses to the proposal of the plan were positive, some 80% approving of this, and the Park Service will implement a parking fee there in Great Smoky Mountains beginning in March of 2023. Parking passes there in Great Smoky Mountains will now be $5 per day or $15 per 7-day period, and you can also buy an annual pass for $40. Campground fees subject to go up in the park, as well as backcountry fees. It's got to be a substantial challenge to keep a park with 13 million people going. So we hope that those all work well for Great Smoky Mountains. I think most of us here in the Park Junkie community understand the importance of funding our national parks and these public areas. The questions become where those monies go. The Great Smoky Mountains does report that 100% of the fees associated with the Park It Forward program will remain in the park and be used for the betterment of park experience. So this is a good thing. I think we can all get on board with that as long as the fees are being used for the administration of the park and for the betterment of park facilities. I think we get a little murky when we start getting into the reservation systems where we don't really know where some of that money goes. Another story with fee increases is coming out of Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Park over in California. They are inviting public comment and public feedback on a proposed increase to camping fees there at 14 front country sites in the Sequoia Kings Canyon National Parks. Park camping fees there currently at $22. The proposal increases those to $32 by 2024. Once again, these fees, I'm not sure, they did not delineate exactly where the fees would be going for this, but they are inviting public input at this time. You can give your feedback to the Park Service by visiting the link below or by writing via snail mail and mailing it to the address presented on your screen. All right, folks, well, that's about going to wrap it up from the news in the parks this week. Thanks for tuning in. As always, happy to have you along here on Park Junkie. You can check me out over at parkjunkie.com. That's your fix for national park info. You can also check me out on Instagram at @TheParkJunkie and on Facebook at Park Junkie as well. Appreciate your time and tuning in. Until next time, my friends, I'll catch you on down the trail. Cheers.